For centuries, the Shroud of Turin, or also called Holy Shroud, has been a center of controversy regarding its authenticity. Is it really the burial cloth used to cover our Lord Jesus Christ? Let's talk some facts. Historical records show that the Shroud of Turin first emerged around 1354. It was presented by Geoffroy de Charny, renowned French knight, to the Dean of Church in Liry as Jesus' authentic burial linen. However, there is no historical record on how the shroud got into possession with the French knight. After being presented to the Dean of Church in Liry, the shroud was exhibited and pilgrims started visiting the church. Around 1389, the local bishop of Troyes denounced the shroud as false relic and mere paintwork. It was attested by painter who claimed that it was one of his artworks. The bishop also accused the dean of Liry Church as an accomplice in order to raise money. The then Pope Clemente VII was mum as much as possible on the topic. In order to pacify both parties' concerns, he sanctioned the shroud as an object of devotion and allowed it to be exhibited as an image or representation of the true shroud of Jesus. In 1453, Geoffroy de Charny's granddaughter Marguerite gave the shroud to the House of Savoy at Chambéry. This move led to her excommunication to the church. In 1502, the House of Savoy placed the shroud in the Sainte-Chapelle in Chambéry, which is now part of France. In 1532, a fire broke out in the chapel and melted part of the silver in the container protecting the shroud. This silver fell onto part of the shroud, burning through it. Poor Clare nuns attempted to repair this damage with patches. The burn marks and the water stains from where the fire was extinguished are still visible today. In 1578, the House of Savoy moved the shroud to the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, which later became part of Italy. It has remained there ever since, with the exception of World War II, when Italy relocated it for safekeeping. Since the 17th century, the shroud has been displayed in the chapel built for that purpose by Guarino Garini. Repairs were made to the shroud in 1694 by Sebastian Valfrey to improve the repairs of the poor Clare nuns. The shroud remained the property of the House of Savoy until 1983, when it was bequeathed to the Holy See according to the terms of the will of former King Umberto II of Italy. Around 1898, it was noticed that the sepia tone images on the shroud seemed to have the character of photographic negatives rather than positives. Beginning in the 1970s, tests were made to determine whether the images were the result of paints or other pigments, scorches, or other agents. None of the tests proved conclusive. In 1988, the Vatican provided 3 laboratories in different countries with postage stamp-sized pieces of the shroud's linen cloth. Having subjected these samples to carbon-14 dating, all 3 laboratories concluded that the cloth of the shroud had been made sometime between 1260 and 1390. However, some scientists raised doubts about the researchers' methodology. To date, the shroud is kept under laminated bulletproof glass. The temperature and humidity-controlled case is filled with argon, 99.5%, and oxygen, 0.5%, to prevent chemical changes. The shroud itself is kept on an aluminum support sliding on runners and stored flat within the case. As we discuss the authenticity of the shroud, we need to consider these arguments. First is that prior to Geoffroy's presentation to the church in Lyre, there was no historical record on how the French knight got into possession of the relic. Did he just showed it to the dean of Lyre Church and the latter accepting it as is? If this is the case, then maybe they really worked as accomplice to make anything out of it. Should the dean asked questions, clarification regarding the authenticity of it? Why were there no historical records about it? My second argument: should this shroud be dated during the time of our Lord Jesus Christ? We have no record of his face. In addition, crucifixion is a common and capital punishment during Roman times. This can be just anyone's shroud who was crucified to death. I have no question that our Lord Jesus Christ lived, died, resurrected and ascended to heaven. One may argue, but I am not personally inclined with these type of icons. I personally believe that these man-made icons most often than not deviates us from the real and sole purpose of what we are tasked to do: pray, follow and glorify one true God. Why can't we just pray the way our Lord taught us to pray? Aren't we obliged not to add or remove anything from what our Lord taught us? Exodus chapter 20 verses 4-6. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I the Lord your God am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. Thank you for watching. If you made it this part of the video, please do press the like and subscribe button. This greatly helps small channels like mine. If you have any topic you want me to discuss, you may email it to me. The link is down the description. Thank you again and see you on the next video.